We have a roll call.
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Schrein? Mr. Schrein is absent. Mr. Brady?
Here.
There is a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilman Miller is in attendance.
Thank you. Any public comment related to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, no one is signed in.
Thank you. We have minutes from June 3rd, 2015. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved. I first want to apologize to anybody in the audience who suffered parking issues trying to get in here during an Indians game, and it's unfortunate that this coincided, so I apologize, and we've done everything we can to make this easy for people to have access to these meetings and to attend meetings, and we'll continue to try to do things differently, except the recommendation was to perhaps schedule our committee meetings around Indians games. So we'll see if I'm going to do that. Anyways, so we're going to start off with Resolution 2015-0123. Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2015-0123, a resolution supporting the Cleveland 2030 District and its efforts to significantly reduce the energy consumption of new and existing buildings in the downtown building district and throughout Greater Cleveland, supporting the Better Buildings Challenge and its voluntary leadership initiative that asks local leaders to make a public comment to energy efficiency, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Thank you. And who's going to speak to that? Mr. Foley?
Mike Foley, Director of the Department of Sustainability. We need to push that on, I guess. The county was approached a couple months ago by the 2030 District, which is a kind of a national effort to look at cities and urban districts to kind of measure buildings and their energy usage and look at ways to reduce emissions and energy usage. Cindy Sikurchi, right? Sisagoy, I can always mispronounce that, I apologize, is here from the 2030 District, and we'll go through a short presentation. But from the Department of Sustainability, we think this is a good idea to join in and support the resolution and join in the district. It's got some practical ramifications. The 2030 District nationwide has a good measuring stick of how to both kind of compile data on how much electricity buildings and district participants are using. We'll get trained in that measurement, and we'll also be able to kind of going forward look at kind of our usage, and the district will help us think through other ways that we can reduce electricity costs and energy costs throughout our buildings throughout the county. So I will turn it over to Cindy.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. How do I get to the slide presentation? Thank you very much.
I just want to confirm that Councilman Schrein is here.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
There's a baseball game. Actually, it's no longer going on.
Thank you for inviting me to speak today for just a few minutes on the Cleveland 2030 District. I appreciate the opportunity. Cleveland 2030 District is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping commercial buildings reduce energy, water, and CO2 emissions from transportation. The organization was started by an architect by the name of Ed Mazria out of Seattle. His vision was to green metropolitan cities one at a time across the United States, and he established an organization called Architecture 2030, and from there began to create districts. Seattle, of course, was his first district in his hometown, and I'm so very proud to say that Cleveland was the second city to become a district of the 2030 district network. Our original footprint was downtown Cleveland, and there's about 80 to 83 million square feet in that footprint. As you can see, we go from the lake to the river and over to about East 30th. We have about a 35% participation rate of commercial buildings in that area. And just in February, we expanded into the University Circle area. They were very proactive and approached us and really wanted to become part of the district. And so since February, there's about 28 million square feet in the University Circle footprint, and we've signed up almost 10% of that in just the last 6 months. The challenge for planning calls for a 50% reduction by the year 2030 in all three categories: energy, water, and CO2 emissions from transportation. Our property owners get nervous when I first approach because they think that that's from what they're using today, but the baseline is a 2003 CBEX survey, the Commercial Building Energy Consumption Survey, and so that baseline is static. This is, by the way, for existing new construction. The challenge is a little more stringent. It requires carbon neutral by the year 2030, and so given today's technology advancements, they felt that buildings should, new construction, and could get to that carbon neutral phase by 2030. So why buildings? I've seen a number of different statistics, but they all basically say the same thing. Commercial buildings use about 49% of energy consumed in the United States. And so we really need to pay attention to this. We have the technology, we have the ability to make buildings more operationally efficient and reduce consumption. This is a really exciting time to be part of the 2030 District Network. As you can see, we now have 10 established districts around, actually North America now, because we do have Toronto, and another 5 or 6 emerging. So we are growing by leaps and bounds, and it's really a very exciting time to see the wheels really start to turn on this very important project. What we do, the way we operate, is that we sign up property adopters. I approach property owners and property managers and ask them to commit to the challenge. We get them set up on a tool called Portfolio Manager. It's an Energy Star online free tool that monitors energy. We do that initial benchmarking against that 2003 CBEX survey, and we provide ongoing reports of buildings, their energy trends. They're comparing them to buildings within a portfolio of buildings. We provide educational events. We have a whole host of professional partners who provide various services, from architects and engineers to plumbing supply, that can help our property owners identify what the next best steps are for their building and then help them implement those programs. As you saw, we are growing very quickly, and so Architecture 2030 is beginning to look at forming a special purchasing alliance. The bigger we get, we've got a little bit of purchasing clout, and they've dipped their toe in the water by starting an LED purchasing program, which a few of our properties have taken advantage of. They are looking to expand that into other products and services that can help our property owners. But I think the most important thing, and what really sets the Cleveland 2030 District apart, is that we measure progress. We provide those ongoing reports, ongoing trend lines, and when our properties can see charts and graphs in black and white, they really understand how their buildings are operating and how they can reduce consumption and become more operationally and cost effective. I wanted to show you a list of our current property adopters. We have about 37 of them right now. The City of Cleveland was our very first founding property adopter, all the way to University Hospital, which was our, we just got them a couple of days ago. So we're growing leaps and bounds. That's about 140 plus buildings that are participating now. Like I said, we've got about 35% participation rate in downtown and 10% in University Circle. There's no cost to participate. The commitment letter is not binding. That we work from that fixed baseline, and the data is kept private. We don't publish each individual building's performance. When we do report, we report it on an aggregated basis district-wide. Participating in the Cleveland 2030 district as a whole have reduced energy consumption by X%. So I hope that we can include the Cuyahoga County buildings among our prestigious list of buildings, and I thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much. And at this point, do we have questions from the committee? Non-committee members? Oh, wait, Council President Brady.
Okay. Hi. So this is, you're looking at the entire county. I mean, I see that you have some buy-in by the University Circle area and downtown through the city. Go, Madam Chairperson, too. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Cindy.
Cindy, we'll just do that part, right?
Yeah.
Cindy, how long ago was that the city of Cleveland adopted? Can you just roughly?
Yeah, I think it was about 2.5, 3 years ago.
Really? Okay.
I think that's pretty much when we formed the district. The district was actually formed from a 2019 Summit working group. That working group was charged with trying to make commercial buildings more energy efficient. As they started to do their research, they found Architecture 2030, and it was really fortuitous timing because they were just forming that Seattle district and wanted to duplicate it. So I think it was about 3 years ago.
So this is completely voluntary.
Correct.
It is obviously to encourage good behavior, and you want us to sign off on, I'm not quite sure where our authority comes here, sign off on, give you our blessing, we'll say, I don't know how else to say it, to try to find people across the width of the entire county. Are you talking about, are you still talking about a particular districts, or are you talking about, Westlake and Rocky River and Beechwood, and I'm just trying to get it.
Eventually, I'm hoping to get there, but right now, those are our two footprints, that downtown Cleveland area and the University Circle. So I'm interested in the county buildings within those two footprints.
Specifically what we own. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, you set me straight. Okay, well, that's what I needed to do, was be able to understand
Eventually,
what you were taking on here.
We'd love to get into Midtown, and we've targeted the Beechwood corridor and the Rockside Road corridor.
So you're really looking for
That's in the
county
future.
property. This is really about county property then?
properties.
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
Okay. Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you.
Jones, and then.
Through the chair, thank you, Madam Chair. You said that you provide ongoing reports and trends, and the city of Cleveland has been with you for roughly 3 years. Have you been providing the trends for them?
Yes.
How often do you do the trend report?
We have targeted every 6 months, so twice a year.
Twice a year.
Individual property, they need to enter their utility data into that portfolio manager so that we have data to run a report with. And so if the properties are current with their data entry, every 6 months.
And understanding that it's only been about 3 years, there's an aggregate trend. Could you tell us how the city of Cleveland is trending so far? I don't think that was in the presentation. Thank you.
Councilman Jones.
That was my question. Can you answer it then in the aggregate without speaking specifically to Cleveland? What has been the impact over the last 3 years of your work?
We have added so many buildings within the last 6 months that we have not recalculated. But about 6 to 8 months ago, they calculated with the buildings that we had at that time. And I believe that we were at about a 10% of those buildings. However, I've almost doubled it in the last 8 or 9 months. So we are in the process right now of recalculating that figure.
So a 10% reduction in aggregate. Is there speak in terms of the savings or costs to to the collective? Does it cost them money to have these, or are there savings?
We have not calculated savings on a district-wide level. You know, we are sort of the impetus to get buildings to take on energy efficiency projects. So they many times don't share with us what their savings or costs were for projects. We are looking at the hard data for just energy use, and very soon we will get into water and and the CO2 emissions from transportation. Up until now, we have really been focused on energy because it's easier to measure. We're trying to develop that water baseline. There is no national water baseline, so we're trying to develop a water baseline right now.
Thank you.
Councilman Schron.
Thank you. What is the structure of your organization?
Of the
Where's-
Cleveland,
Yeah, was that covered before I got here? Yeah, where is it organized? Who covers the cost of the structure and what it makes up?
the Cleveland 2030 District is funded by the Kresge Foundation. We're also funded by some other smaller sponsorships. As is the district funds themselves. They find their own funders. Since we were the second district to form with Seattle, we collaborated with them in going to Kresge and finding a grant for the two original districts.
How long is the grant for?
The grant, we are funded for 2015. I'm very hopeful that they will also fund us for 2016. We had some objectives set before us, and if we hit the objectives, they have pretty much promised that we will be funded for 2016, and there's no question we will hit all of the objectives on the grant proposal.
Without that grant, are you financially viable? I mean, how does, and what is the structure as far as the continuation of us joining this group? If, can we see your financials or what you look like as far as a structural organization?
I would have to bring that before my board, but we are continuously looking, we have a development committee that's continuously looking for additional funding opportunities.
And do you envision you would come to the public at some point?
You know, eventually.
I noticed that
think-
our director is here for sustainability, and I just was curious as to whether that's something in the long-range plans.
I think long range, once we can really prove benefit to our property owners, there might be an opportunity for us to go back to property owners and get funded through the property owners.
Would this just seems like the group that you've identified, or the spot on the map, looks very similar to the Downtown Cleveland Alliance's footprint also. Why wouldn't this just be a subset? Because if all you're describing to me so far is a savings, which every business wants to generate savings, and it doesn't matter what the tool is. If it's less gasoline, if it's less natural gas, electricity, that's just a core of any business out there. Why wouldn't this just be a subset of what already exists?
You know, we are a subset of the Architecture 2030 organization. Like I said, we were founded by a working group of the 2019 summit, and I can't speak to what kinds in with COSI, Downtown Cleveland Alliance in Northeast Ohio, so that we're not duplicating efforts, but we're truly collaborating and working together.
And the generation of ideas and concepts and improvements, there's no cost at this point to any of the buildings that would adopt it.
Correct.
If they call in a consultant from your group to help advise as to how to do X, Y, or Z to help on any of these measurements that you're monitoring, is there a cost at that point in time?
There's no cost from the Cleveland 2030 district if they were to contact one of our professional partners. Our professional partners typically provide some kind of discount or free consultations. Then it would be up to the building owner and the professional partner to make their own arrangements and agree on services.
And none of those professional partners would be providing any benefit back to your organization?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Madam Chair, to Sandy, you talked about having certain objectives to meet in order to get a continuation of the grant funding. Are these objectives internal to the way your organization operates, or are they more external in terms of how much progress is made in achieving the reduction objectives that the member buildings are seeking to achieve, or is it a combination of those?
The objectives are, for example, we have objectives in terms of how many square feet we will have participating by the end of 2015. We have objectives in terms of how many educational events we will provide our property owners and building managers. So it's very focused on progress made within the district.
Okay. And would you say that one of the main advantages that the organization provides that sets it apart is to have access to nationals and kind of be a clearinghouse for information on the latest how energy savings can be achieved?
Yes, of course. As a matter of fact, we're very proud to be hosting this year's annual summit for all of the districts. All of those 10 established district and 6 emerging districts will be coming to Cleveland in September to share best practices and set strategy for the coming year. Among the districts to collaborate with one another and learn from one another, share best practices.
We would like to thank you very much for choosing Cleveland for this conference. And final thing is could you send our clerk a copy of the presentation that you gave us so
Yes,
that we can have it? Okay.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Councilman Jones.
What is the staffing? What is the staffing level of your organization? The size?
We have quite a number of volunteer staff. I am full-time, and I have one part-time metrics engineer. She does all the data crunching. We have another part-time person that's actually with Architecture 2030 who does provide help to Cleveland 2030 district, and we're in the process of looking for another full-time person to provide some additional assistance.
And as you look to meet your metrics for funding, what is the size of the grants that Kresge provides?
Kresge provides us with $125,000.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Councilman Schron.
Just to follow my councilman's, and your background is what?
My background, I spent 37 years with the RPM Building Solutions Group. I was the Vice President of Global Sustainable Initiatives and Facility Manager of their global headquarters in Beechwood, Ohio.
So that's part of the RPM that's headquartered down in Medina, then? Is that
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
They're the ones that's selling all the roofing systems and the different coating systems that go on top of the roof.
That's correct. They have 5 different divisions.
And is roofing indicated as one of the key ways in which you would reduce your energy footprint by changing to the white color roofs, I believe is what is being suggested nowadays?
That's always a possibility. It's certainly dependent on each individual building and what their objectives are and what their budgets are and what they have planned for their building. But of course, that's certainly that could very well be part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to see if Director Foley or Chanel Smith, who just walked in, have anything to add. Thank you. I would imagine that Mr. Foley would be here since he's the Director of Sustainability and will be working with this district. So I appreciate you being here and assume that your presence is probably necessary, as you'll be the one who will be training, Deputy Director, will be training for the STAR program, or want to talk about quickly?
Energy Star.
Energy
Yeah.
Star.
Right. Yeah, and probably someone from Public Works who deals with our facilities and our electricity bills and putting them in the system. So we'll get trained on how to use the system, engage in it. And as I say, we support this. It doesn't cost us anything for the county. It's looking at our own facilities, matching up with other people who have, other groups who have their own facilities, and just talking about energy reductions and energy savings. So we think it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. So this is an actual practical resolution rather than a resolution we usually pass that says, okay, we want this or we want this. This is actually patient in terms of training and participating and actually garnering the support and knowledge from being a part of this district, correct?
Correct, Chairwoman. And as well, it also puts us, we're developing our Clean Energy Finance Hub. We expect that it will be able to interact with other building owners in the 2030 district, both in University Circle and in the downtown areas, as we try to interact with building owners throughout the county. But it's a kind of an easy way to market the availability of potential clean energy financing that we're putting together.
Okay, thanks a lot. And there's no urgency to this, Director Foley? I mean, this will go for second reading at our next
yes,
council
yeah.
meeting and be passed hopefully at the end of August. So, Councilman Tron.
Implementation of this, or whatever we have to do as a county?
No, we have not, Councilman. The training will be free. I think it's just kind of our intellectual ability to put in data and use the system. Maybe it'll take an hour or two a month. I'm not sure. So that's stuff we'll have to figure out. But I don't think we're going to need any money for this, above and beyond what we currently have in our budget.
We're training, or they're training?
They are training us.
Okay. And so I assume you're not allocating any cost for the training then from our end?
Correct.
Are most of us familiar with Energy Star?
No.
Okay. Well, Councilwoman Brown, and then you can ask that question too.
Thank you. Outside of Energy Star, you and I had a meeting about an organization, Utetics, I believe it is.
Utetics.
Utetics.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a partnership that they will have, or it's completely separate? Because based on the information that, very similar. So I'm just wondering how that's going to.
Utetics is the organization who we hired that has access to this clean energy finance capital, and also expertise in kind of deployment for energy-related services, clean energy-related services. So they are helping finance our Clean Energy Finance Hub. Our hub is working countywide to help reduce energy costs for building owners who want to do that, who need financial assistance to purchase or buy down mechanisms for cleaner energy production, basically reducing their energy costs. So the hub that Utetics is part of will be able to interact with the 2030 district, and we think that there's a natural fit there that we'll get some expertise from the 2030 district. Hopefully, this is our Clean Energy Finance Hub for capitalizing projects.
Thank you. So we'll be looking to collaborate.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just a minute on the Energy Star, what's it called?
Energy Star?
Yeah.
So it's a system to look at just kind of whole building systems and kind of analyze the, how efficient are you, right? So it looks at water systems, electricity systems, heating, cooling systems, and things.
It's a program.
It's a program.
It's a program that you
Yes.
can measure these
Correct,
outputs.
right. Mhm.
Okay, efficiencies.
Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so any other questions? Thank you very much. So do I have a motion to move this to the next full council meeting for second reading? Well, that's a second, I'm a first. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We look forward to working with you. Okay, next item is 2015-0124.
Resolution number 2015-0124, a resolution determining the services and programs that shall be provided and funded from the Veteran Services Fund in 2015, authorizing payments to various providers in a total amount of $39,006.19 for said services and program for the period ending 12/31/2016, authorizing the county executive to negotiate and execute any necessary agreements, contracts, or other documents for same, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Staff.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Trevor McAleer, County Council. In front of you today is an award for $39,000 out of the 2014 leftover Veteran Services money. Back in 2012, Council approved the Veteran Services Fund, that any surplus left over from that, the additional money would be awarded to various providers that fund or give money to veterans. In the past, that same ordinance authorized that 20% of any leftover money goes to education. So 20% off that goes to Tri-C and Cleveland State. The amount's much smaller than it has been in years past, but Tri-C and Cleveland State is each getting $5,609.40. And then there was some discussion about what to do with the leftover amount, which equates to about $27,000. We've had some internal discussions with the sponsor, Councilman Greenspan, and council leadership, and the Common Pleas Court has created a new veterans docket. And since it was such a small amount compared to years past, the recommendation is to provide the leftover money to the Veterans Court. So that is the recommendation in front of you.
Questions from the committee?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Miller.
Could you provide some sense as to what the Veterans Court will be able to do with this money that they couldn't be able to do if we didn't provide it?
Yes.
Michael King, council staff. I can give you a sort of brief background as to the purpose of the Veterans Treatment Court. As you may recall, last fall, the Court of Common Pleas voted to file paperwork with the Supreme Court to create this specialized docket. And earlier this year, in fact, in April, they received preliminary approval to establish it. And basically, it would permit judges in the Court of Common Pleas to refer criminal cases dealing with veterans who have had issues returning home, may face a whole host of issues related to post-traumatic stress or crime or homelessness, and end up in the criminal. And it provides a specialized docket with experienced professionals who understand, who provide more counseling and monitoring of veterans in these situations. And just some preliminary statistics: the veteran population. Nearly 10% of Ohio's veteran population is within Cuyahoga County. It's about 82,000 veterans, and the Court of Common Pleas has identified approximately 175 veterans who are currently in the criminal justice system, either on probation or with cases of pending trial, who would be eligible for this type of treatment. So this money would allow more of these cases to be referred specifically to this docket. I don't have the exact number on that at this time, but if you'd like further information, we can certainly request that from the Court of Common Pleas or have Marty Murphy come and provide further information at a future committee.
And Madam Chair, would the money be more for court proceedings, or would it be more for services to the veterans?
I can't speak to that at this time. That's information we could provide in the future. It does go to, they have what's called a mentor program where veteran mentors act as peer support to participants, but I believe it would also go to support the administrative costs of administering the docket as well.
Councilman Jones.
I need a refresher course. The veteran.
Yes, and this year I think it's 6.8.
Okay.
And that's a $250,000 total property value goes to the Veteran Services Commission.
And does this just shy of $40,000 represent the total amount that they did not use? So did they actually use the majority of those monies except for this 40,000?
They used actually all but 56, I'm sorry, they used all but 59,000. 20,000, back in 2013, council awarded the VA 20,000 of veteran service money that was left over. There was a belief that they weren't going to be able to use that money. Their legal counsel at that time was telling them that they had to return the money to the county. Their legal counsel and our legal counsel continued negotiations, and they ended up able to spend that 20,000 as they originally planned. And that took about, what, 2 years, I believe? And in 2014, council appropriated what we thought was going to be that 20,000 left over to the Cleveland State and Tri-C. So that's why we're underspending this year by 20,000, because we didn't have that 20,000 left over like we thought we would back.
When this first started, there was in the neighborhood of $1 million unused. Is that correct?
758,000.
758.
Back left over in 2012.
And we redirected those dollars back then. So now we're redirecting only 40,000. So that implies that they have started to find ways to use the money themselves when at some point they felt they could not.
I think it's a combination. They're spending more money than they used to, but they're also getting less based off current property values.
Okay.
So I think back in 2012, their budget was close to 8 million, and now it's down to 6.8. So it's $1.2 million less than what they used to get.
Somewhere between that 700 plus thousand and the 40,000 today. Do we know how they use those dollars? How did they find, if you are aware at this moment, of how they were able to now begin to use those dollars that in the years past they were not able to?
Yeah, I don't have the data right now, but we can certainly get that from the Veteran Services Commission. Okay. And we talked to the executive director of the VSC. We did that last year. In the past, they wouldn't provide us some guidance on where they thought the extra money would go to, but they have the last 2 years. So they're aware of this resolution, so they're supportive.
I just have a quick question about the other funding to different agencies, for example, or legal aid. Did anybody come to us and say we need additional funds? How did it happen that this court was the one picked out to receive this money? I mean, I think it's a good idea that it's a new court. It's a good idea, but legal aid's also a good idea, and the other places. So how did this happen?
Sure. Unlike in previous years, we did not go out for an informal solicitation, primarily due to the comparatively modest amount of money that was left over, as opposed to previous years. So with the knowledge that there was, after the 20% was allocated to scholarships, only about 30,000 less, and that programmatically that would have much less of an impact for some of the programs that had been funded in the past, and that the county had this new program online. It was a determination made in consultation with the sponsor and council leadership to allocate the money in this manner.
Okay. The only comment I have, if this is going for administrative expenses for this new court endeavor, then that's a finite number, and they're going to have to find a way to continue funding those expenses, opposed to if it was the legal aid, perhaps, that would have lawyers available. And it's just, I'm afraid it's just a finite number, and that's all. So it's fine with me. Is there a time constraint with this?
No.
Okay, so.
Marty Murphy is aware of the recommendation, and we told him, it has to go through the process and the recommendation.
So second reading, council. So I'm going to move this to the next full council meeting for second reading.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, Madam Clerk, is 150142.
Resolution number 2015-0142, a resolution authorizing amendments to agreements and contracts with various providers for Workforce Investment Act youth training for the period 7/1/2014 through 6/30/2015, to extend the time period to 6/30/2016, to change the scope of services effective 7/1/2015, and for additional funds, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendments and all other documents consistent with this resolution and effective.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. In front of all of us is a proposed substitute to this resolution, and It's just a matter of changing the name of Workforce Investment Act now to the Innovation and Opportunity Act, youth training, and that comes from the changes in the federal legislation, I believe. And wanted to, if we can move at this point, to move the substitute to reflect the correct name of the act. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? So before us now is a proposed substitute with the correct name of the act and the federal mandates that are coming down for workforce development. And it's timely, before you begin with these contracts, to talk about the workforce development end of things, because in Economic Development Committee chaired by Councilman Schron, we've been talking at length about the relationship between Workforce Investment Board and our own Department of Development and how those two can come together and collaborate more. So you might get questions about that today, but before us are several agreements, and if you want to identify yourself,
absolutely,
please.
Candace James, Youth Program Manager for Workforce Development. Thank you, Councilwoman Simon and the committee members. So yes, we are requesting approval to amend contracts. What we are is a program where we actually fund programs that help underserved young people. So with the Workforce Investment Act, we were serving young people ages 14 to 21 who were either in high school or had already graduated or dropped out of school and needed help with employment and academic supports. So that's kind of essentially what we do. In 2014, we issued a request for proposals, and as a result of that RFP, we contracted with 10 providers. And so of those 10 providers, there's 4 different programs that are offered. There's the in-school service piece, and that's the one that I referenced, where we're in high schools working with young people, oftentimes who are at risk of dropping out, and providing supports to them. And that could be mentoring, paid work experience, leadership development, things like that. The second program model is for our out-of-school youth. And you'll hear me talk a lot more about that with this new law, because there's a greater focus on out-of-school youth. But with them, primarily we target young people who are either high school graduates but unemployed or underemployed, or those who still need help with getting their GED. And so for them, we focus on immediate employment and helping them to become more competitive. So even as we're working on building academic skills, helping them to get their GED, we do realize that many of them have young families and need to be working quickly. So that's a big focus with our providers on that end. The third is for foster care services, and that's actually a pilot that we entered into back in 2013, and that allows us to serve 178 young people who are either in foster care right now or who have emancipated from foster care, essentially aging out of care. And we have a really strong partnership with Children and Family Services and Big Brothers Big Sisters for that. And the fourth is operating our Youth Resource Center. And that's something that we started in 2011, which has allowed us to expand our reach to the general youth public. So even though with our contracts, those are kind of finite numbers in terms of how many we can serve, which is typically around 850 or so. With the Youth Resource Center, we've been able to serve an additional 1,000 youth who are coming in for general services, maybe from employment, working on your resume, coming in, preparing for a job interview, those kind of things. So that happens within our one stop. So those are the 4 different service models that are offered. And so with the RFP that we issued, the contract for those was from July 1, 2014 until June 30, 2015. And so with the Workforce Innovation Act that actually was enacted in July of 2014 after we issued our RFP. So with that really required us to really make a pivot in the way that we serve young people. And so with the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, there's a huge emphasis on serving those that are out of school. And so as we listen to the focus, particularly from the federal government, the major concern that they had was the national statistic of 5.8 million young adults, 16 to 24, who are neither in school or working. And so what they've asked areas like us to do was concentrate our efforts, our money, our energy into serving those young people, because those are folks who are considered disconnected, meaning they're not tied to an education system or any other system that would really be kind of focused on their development. So with that requires us to make a shift of our expenditures to 75%. We don't have to be there right now, but we do need to be there by 2016. So as a result of making that shift, we are currently at 58% for out-of-school providers, where initially we were at 33% back in 2014, represented here with the contrast. We are at 42%, as opposed to last year when we were at 67%. So you can see, even historically with workforce development, we've really focused on intensive early intervention. So most of our contracts have been heavy on the in-school side. So this is a major shift for us, but we do understand it, and we can appreciate the direction that the federal government is going. There's also an increase in the age. So for those that are, so it represents that same, it broadens the pool in terms of who can come into the program. With the Workforce Investment Act, there is a very high focus on working with young adults who are low income. And for the new act, it broadens the pool so that it's really looking more at barriers as opposed to income. So income is one of the criteria, but if you had someone who maybe was still living at home and was right above the income threshold with WIOA, which is what we call it now, that would allow them to be served too. One of the things I wanted to share is with this shift that we made, we were very concerned about our in-school youth and what the impact would be to them. So I'm glad to say that none of our providers were displaced, meaning that they were able to continue services for their youth. Because of where we were in the contracts, a lot of our those youth who are in the in-school programs have actually gotten to the point where they're either about to graduate or have already graduated from the program. So that allowed us to make the shift without having to terminate any contracts or cutting people to the point where they were no longer able to serve their youth. Additionally, with this contract, I wanted to mention the Connecting the Dots program. That's the one for foster care. We are one of 4 counties are Lake, Montgomery, Summit, and Hamilton. And for this one, this will be going until December 30, 2015. Another major point to mention is that this program is all federally funded, so there will be no general funds used for this. Thank you, and this concludes my presentation.
Very much. Okay, questions from the committee? Councilman Sharon.
Just the Mayfield City School, just if you could give me some background, is that include their CVAC program?
That's actually CVAC. Right.
Well, Mayfield has both a vocational program and a CVAC program. This is the CVAC program?
This is CVAC. They are part of the Mayfield City School District, right. So in the contracts you'll see Mayfield, but it really is for CVAC, and it's very much for the vocational education of those with disabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're probably quite familiar.
Yeah, we're going to have the students at our company
Excellent.
next year, and I probably have to recuse myself because 6 CVAC students and a teacher will be permanently assigned to my company next year. So I want to make sure that I do recuse myself on this vote, because I don't want anybody thinking that I'm driving. Because though we don't benefit from it other than trying to share and to get these students up to their learning skills, and as much as we're really excited about it. And hopefully we're going to have the superintendents, I think, on the 20th of August to kick it off, along with perhaps even the governor, because it'll be the first time in the state of Ohio. So I will have to excuse myself from voting on that.
Excellent.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Millen.
In the resolution, what's the difference between agreements and contracts?
Sure, that's a good question. With agreements, those are for public institutions like Cuyahoga Community College, whereas with the contracts, that typically represents our vendors who are nonprofits, anyone that's a non-government entity.
Councilman Jones.
just follow up, but they all receive funding, whether it's an agreement or contract.
That's correct.
Okay. You're funded by two sources, the WIOA and TANF.
That's correct.
Great. Without me adding all of this up, how much is the total amount, and what part of that is TANF?
It's roughly about 2.5 million. And for TANF, that's just for our foster care program, and that's about $340,000.
Oh, TANF is strictly for the foster care.
That's right.
Good, okay. I asked because I focus on TANF and the workforce participation rate.
Right.
How important that is to help, that we continue to improve that number, to help put residents, help our residents become self-sufficient.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one of the key reasons why the state approached us for this pilot. And for TANF, I just wanted to note as well that the funds are actually coming from the state, so it's not from the local TANF JFS program.
When you say foster, are you referring to foster kids who have aged out?
Absolutely.
Aged out.
Yes, aged out and those who are still in care, but particularly those who have aged out because when you look at the statistics for them, it's far worse, and they don't have the supports and they're no longer required to be under anyone's charge. So that's a huge focus.
Okay. So I didn't want to see the TANF dollars necessarily mixed in with the underage children, which they are not, because we want to focus on putting our adults to work in that workforce participation rate.
Right.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Thank you.
Just a clarification, this TANF money is for both the children aging out and those still in foster care, I thought you said.
That's correct. Yes, it is.
It's both.
Right.
It's both, and it's the same revenue stream.
Yes, it is. Excuse me. Yeah.
So I do want you to come back to talk about this pilot and how it's impacting these children. I think it's really important. It's going to be on my agenda for the next couple of years to really make sure that these children aging out have what they need and see if this is a way we can strengthen that. Okay?
We'd be very happy
So that
to
will
do
be a
so.
separate meeting I would like to see. But Councilman Miller, did you have another question?
How much evaluation is being done on these programs to measure what the success rates are and what elements seem to be the most effective in helping the youth?
Very good questions. We are, because we are a federally funded program, we are subject to the same performance measures as any local workforce area. So every quarter we are actually measured on our performance. What I can say is that our most recent performance report was for third quarter, and at that time we were at 76% for employment, either entering into employment or entering into post-secondary education. But the standard for the state is 53.6%. So that's one area where we're exceeding. For the second area where we're measured is the attainment of a diploma or occupational skills training. And so for that, we're at 64.8, whereas the standard is 50.4 for the state. The last one where we're measured is attainment of literacy and numeracy gains. And so essentially for a young person who comes in and takes a math and reading assessment, if it shows that it's an intervention and where the standard or the that quarterly to see how we're doing, and then we also break it out by provider so we can see where we're strong and what areas need more help. I can say that as far as the things that really are instructive for our young adults is as much engagement as possible, spending as much individualized time with focus heavily on tutoring, mentoring, leadership are the ones that we see are very strong. One of the things you'll see too, particularly with the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, is there's a very strong focus on work experience. With the law, they actually have mandated that 20% of our funds go to paid work experience because it's so critical that young people have that opportunity to be in the world of work before they actually enter into adulthood. So those are some of the components that, there's a strong focus, and we've seen success when those things happen.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I don't know, is this time sensitive?
No, it isn't.
Okay. Just one brief question before I make a motion to move this to the next council meeting for second reading, which I'm doing now. And I'll wait for a second after I ask the question. In terms of shifting the priority into out-of-school children versus those in school.
Yes.
Are we going to lose kids then who are in school who otherwise would need this training?
I wouldn't say we're not losing them. One of the things that we've done, and this is something that came from even with our executive director and the board, was a decision to suspend in-school enrollment. So anyone that we are currently serving, we believe in keeping that investment and making sure that they continue to get those services, but we have stopped enrollment. So by doing so, no one will be displaced, but it also means obviously that we're not able to go out into the community and serve those same young people in the way that we were. So that's one of the things where a lot of our providers are leveraging with other funders to make sure that those services continue, but it's not something that we're able to right now at Workforce do.
So it's safe to assume then some children will not be served who otherwise
Absolutely
would need it or
Yes.
could have had this opportunity prior to this new priority. What about the money coming from our Cuyahoga County's education supplement to education? Is that able to supplement this loss of revenue from the feds?
If it's, are we speaking about the Cuyahoga Education Assistance Program?
Correct.
Okay. And for that one, I believe that's reserved for adults, those who are 18 and up. So we have had young people from our in-school programs who, say, graduated from high school and are at that age and qualify and are able to access it. But in terms of being able to speak to that loss, I think it's part of the solution, but it won't be able to remedy it fully.
I meant going forward. So we need to reevaluate dollars going into
absolutely.
and see going forward with our next, see whether that should change to capture these kids who are not 18 and be able to help. I don't know if you're utilizing 100% of what we're subsidizing. If you're not, then we need to readjust the criteria.
Jayanti Bhattacharya with the Department of Workforce Development. You're correct. We are the way currently the scholarship fund or the education assistance program is set up, that it is for completion of a certificate or a degree, which is post-secondary. So that is, or we can take some kind of an apprenticeship program or any other certification that they have. And it's just for their completion when they have a financial hardship. At that time, they can come to us and request the funding, and it's to the maximum of $5,000. That's the maximum that we provide, and that the course needs to be completed within 18 months of them being enrolled in our program. So if we want to open it up, this would definitely be a good place for us to open it up for the in-school population, because definitely we have had concerns from our in-school providers that, this is the age, this is a very vulnerable age where the individuals does need that intervention from us to prevent them from becoming a dropout or an out-of-school kid or a disconnected youth. This is the time when we need to do the connection. But we also understand the big picture where we have millions of youth throughout the country who have this issue or the problem that they are all disconnected, they're all out of school. And so, the federal government wants us to concentrate more towards that. But if we can come up with something make some adjustment and changes in our CCEAP program, we definitely would be able to, and I'm sure all our in-school providers will be very happy. They'll do their happy dance. They'll be very happy if they can do that. As far as using the CCEAP funds, we actually reach pretty close to, we are like somewhere close to $400 to $450,000. We have $500,000 that we get for the whole year. We pretty much reach like $450,000 of obligation. We don't spend it out, but we actually obligate that much funding because the request for payment comes from school once the student has completed the course. So that's why it's already obligated, and but we kind of use close to $450,000 to $475,000.
Thank you. That's just food for thought for the committee going forward. Any other questions?
One more question.
Sure.
Just a general question about workforce development. Are we still funding people to take vocational training courses like HVAC and so,
Yes,
or have we kind of gotten away from that?
No, we are still doing those courses. Yes, those are through our what we call as individual training account agreements. We do have various institutions, various training providers that are on our state's eligible training provider list, and when the member comes in through our doors and is showing an interest or would like to receive welding training or CNC training or HVAC training, we have a list of the providers. They pick from those providers which one they're interested in, which one would be more convenient for them to go to, and then we go ahead and fund them. And we have a limit on that too. It's about 6,000 assistants for those vocational training.
And about how many people are we funding per year on those programs?
The last numbers that I had was I think we have 375 or 400 people that we served in PY14, which is from July 1st of 2014 to June 30th of 2015.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Questions?
Okay.
Just to that point, there's always a universe of people that need help and the ones we actually are helping. Do you have numbers for the county, how much of those who are actually in need we're actually touching?
Need of assistance from workforce?
Correct.
So in our database, we have it's about 7,000 people that are actively being touched upon and talked to, and who use our services. So it's about 7,000, close to 7,000 people that we currently have. But if you look at the bigger universe, it's about 30,000 people, because we have this online system that the state has put together, and anybody can go in and register there. So based on that, they don't have to be like so-called as workforce investment eligible. Anybody can go in, like you and I can go in and register ourselves and try to find a job if I want a better job, if somebody wants a better job or a different job. So on that, we have about 35,000 on the bigger universe of anybody and everybody who's trying to get services through Ohio Means Jobs. But in our local system, we have 7,000 people.
Okay. And lastly, the vendors, my last question, the vendors, the various providers here, we're giving an extension for 1 year, I assume, because of have these same vendors been receiving this contract over the year, if at all?
So this was competitively bid in 2014. When we do the competitive bidding for Workforce Investment Act, or WIOA, now Workforce Innovation and Opportunities, so when we, instead of put in our contract is that currently this is for the program year, last year when we did it, we said this is for the program year of 2014. The extension will be provided in PY14 if they meet all the performance requirement and if we have the funding. So that contingency is always there, that contingent upon funding availability and their performance. So these providers that we had were all competitively procured, and they all performed exceptionally good. Most of them were very good, and so that we decided that we will go ahead and we will extend their contracts. We haven't suspended anybody, or we haven't discontinued anyone for their non-performance.
Are these the same providers you had in 2013?
2013 also, we had, yes, all of them were there in 2013 also, and that was through the procurement that was done in 2011.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I have a motion that I made. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? So this will move forward for second reading?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, one abstention, thank you. So we have a quorum anyways, the three, so we're good.
Right. Thank you very much.
All right, so last but not least, universal pre-K contracts. I'm really sorry for the wait. Had I known the 2000 district, so Madam Clerk, can you read 150144?
Resolution number 2015-0144, a resolution making awards on requisition number 33034 to various providers for universal pre-kindergarten program services for the period 8/1/2015 through 7/31/2018, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreements and contracts and all other documents consistent with said resolution become immediately effective.
Much. Director Dorman.
Hi, good afternoon. Rebecca Dorman, Director of Investment. We do, I'm not sure exactly the best way to do this, but we have had one site, number 12, East Cleveland School District has closed Prospect Elementary School since these contracts started their way through. So we'll be able to withdraw that, correct?
We'll have a formal amendment, motion to amend to delete the East Cleveland City School District.
Okay.
So after you present.
Wanted to make sure that was on the table. Okay. I am going to very quickly do a overview of where we are because we have, very delighted, we have 3 of our UPK providers here today along with families from each of the providers. So I thought you've heard a lot from me. You probably would like to hear what it's meant to the programs and the families. So I'll quickly walk through the PowerPoint and then we'll ask each of them to say just a couple words so you understand really, I think, the impact of the program in a more direct and personal way. So just a reminder that Universal Pre-K is an early care and education program. In this RFP process, we are now moving into the largest version of the program where there will be 2 across the county in a variety of settings. Also to remind you that families benefit from tuition assistance if their annual income is under 400% of the federal poverty level. The annual amount of all of these contracts in the aggregate is about $4.4 million, but you see over this 3-year period, and it is an RFP for a 3-year period of contracting, is a little over $13 million of public dollars. We also have a $500,000 grant from the George Gund Foundation that is the program. So this is our 4th RFP process and our 9th year of UPK operation. We've set a higher bar in this RFP process, so the RFP was only open to high quality providers to apply, those with 3 stars or up in the state system, or if they were a family child care home, they had to be a gold seal provider with the county. So I think you can see the statistics. While 387 providers were eligible to apply, we had 56 proposals submitted, and you can see the statistics that we funded 27 centers and 3 licensed homes. School districts, as public entities, do not go through the RFP process, and we're continuing with the 3 districts who've been in the program previously, the Brooklyn District, Cleveland, and East Cleveland. Universal pre-K funding is always the last dollar in, meaning that all the other sources of funding are taken into account. We ask the providers when they submit their proposal to tell us about all of their other revenue streams, and then we put that into our formula, see what's the gap, how much do these programs need in order to reach the level of funding that our national study tells us is needed to do very high-quality care that we demand in UPK, and we will make up the difference then. I want to point out we have our public policy fellow this summer, Nika Masel is here. She is actually doing a deeper dive into how programs have spent the dollars and how that relates specifically to improving quality on the measure. So we'll be happy to have that report at the end of her work with us, which is coming very soon. We have 7 new sites coming into the program this year. We have some that are from providers who have other sites, as in Catholic Charities and the Centers for Families and Children. But we have one site who was with us in the past Horizon. And then we have 3 brand new sites, the Cleveland Children's Daycare Academy, the Lewis Stokes Head Start site, and Sister J's Child Development. As you can see, the sites are distributed across the county, centers, homes, and public preschools. And the number of kids in the program has now more than doubled from our inception, where we were serving 1,000 children. Again, we're now at projected 2,340 kids. In terms of sort of the penetration rate within the county, which has always been a question that has been posed to me, I thought maybe I would preempt you and provide that information. So of the eligible high-quality centers, 19% are now funded through us. A very tiny number of family child care homes, only 3, but all 3 who applied were accepted into the program. In terms of how far are we reaching into the population of children and families who would be interested in the program, when you look at other programs that are truly universal, and we always say that our program is aspirational in using the term universal because we're really, we think, only hitting about 10% of the children who would really be interested in making use of the program. But 70% is typically the percentage rate when you calculate who is actually going to utilize a universal preschool program. So if you look at the percentage of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds who would be in a preschool setting, look at 70% of those, you get that number at the bottom right, about 24,126. We're serving 2,340. So as you see, there would certainly be room to grow, we think, and additional need pending the availability of additional funding. One thing that will be helpful to us in making our dollars stretch farther is that in the new state budget, the child care subsidy eligibility has been expanded. So in the past, intake to receive that public subsidy was at 125% of the poverty level. It's now at 130%, and you, in the past, you lost your subsidy, or people still call it a voucher, when you hit 200% of federal poverty. Now you're able to stay in until you hit 300%. They also eliminated the copay that exists for families if you're under 100% of poverty. So we believe, we don't know exactly how much we'll be saving yet, because we don't know exactly which families will be walking in the door yet, but that will make our dollars, again, as the last dollar in, go further. So what do we know? This is just a review of the research that our independent evaluators have done in the past. At Case Western Reserve, we pre-test children on the Bracken School Readiness Assessment when they come in the door. We post-test them when they're on their way to kindergarten, and we're able to document that they make significant gains on all 5 subscales of that assessment. We also looked at children going into the Cleveland School District, how they do on the state-mandated kindergarten readiness assessment, and we saw on average that they are 3 points higher than children coming in general to the school district. We further had Case look at what does 1 point on that assessment really mean in kindergarten. Does that 3 points meaningful, and or is it just 3 points? That's nice. So what we found out from the research that Case did for us, which by the way is the same mirrors research done in Columbus and around the state, is that for every point higher you score on the CRAL, the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, you have a 12% greater chance of passing the third grade reading assessment, which as you know has become a fairly high stakes assessment. Points we think are very meaningful. So there was, I think what everyone's beginning to recognize is preschool is really the beginning of the education system. It's not kindergarten. And there was a nice article in the Plain Dealer in which the reporter went on 2 visits, watching how does the state determine the quality rating. And one of the providers in the picture there is actually here to talk to you today from Gannon Gill. So she'll be up here in a minute when they were rated 5 stars, as are all the providers who are here today. So without further ado, I thought we would call up our first provider, and because Peyton and Dawson have been so patient, we're going to call up Cassandra Thompson and family to tell you what it has meant. So Cassandra is the very first 5-star, which is the highest rating, quality rated licensed family childcare home in the state of Ohio. So we are really thrilled that the first 5-star home is here, and she's been with us in UPK since the beginning. So I'll let her and the family tell you themselves.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Hi. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. Thanks for having us this afternoon. My name again is Cassandra Thompson, a care home teacher from my family child care program. I have been involved in the program since its inception, which was piloted in 2007. It has been an incredible experience for me and my families. The program has not only benefited the children and families that I serve, but has also been of great benefit to me for my professional growth and also my personal growth. The UPK program has allowed me to comfortably offer hundreds of firsthand, hands-on experiences for my preschool children to draw upon. The funding helps to remove financial barriers and obstacles that may prevent many of our youngest children from achieving to their fullest potential. What has been made my program so successful is that it has always fit into Fit and Learn and Grow. It incorporates family engagement, collaborations with the community, social and emotional support, and those are just a few examples. One of the most exciting aspects of my collaboration with Investing Children and the UPK program, along with the support of Billy Osborne Fierce and the Starting Point staff, is that I now recognize that this program has somehow systematically and thoroughly prepared Sandy's Darling Munchkin's Family Child Care Home. That's what my child care home is called, for the stringent expectations of the Step Up to Quality 5 that I am very grateful for. This is one of my parents, Tiara Banks, and this is, what is your name?
Peyton.
Come on. What's your whole name?
Peyton Bailey Banks.
That's Peyton Bailey Banks. She's 5 years old, and she will be attending. Where are you going in August?
August the 17th, I'm going to kindergarten.
What's good?
Campus International.
And then this is, what is your name?
Dawson.
What is your name?
Dawson Emmanuel Banks.
This is Dawson Emmanuel Banks, and he's 3. They're siblings.
I'm about to be 4.
And he's about to be 4 years old. Good job, Dawson.
Oh, sure. Like she said, I'm Tiara Banks. I'm one of the parents at her Sandy's Darling Munchkins. I've been with her for about a year and a half, and my husband Daniel Banks is absent because he's at work. But I just wanted to say, like speaking from a parent's point of view, like this program has definitely afforded me the opportunity just to provide my kids with like superior care that I probably would not be able to afford because we don't qualify for any other government subsidies or anything. The expectation I have for the child care that I would like to receive is way beyond my budget. So this definitely has helped me, and it matters a whole lot. And like Sandy said, is to have my son Dawson stay with her in her care until he transitions in the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good luck. Good job, kids.
Early Childhood Enrichment Center. Again, all 5-star providers. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Beth Price. I'm the director at the Early Childhood Enrichment Center. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of the Cuyahoga County Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program. My program, the Early Childhood Enrichment Center, was founded in 1974. We are located in Shaker Heights and have been part of UPK since the pilot in 2007. The Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program has afforded us the opportunity to improve the services that we provide to a very economically, culturally, and racially diverse population. So how has UPK impacted our program? In 3 very important ways: service to children, services to families, and services to staff. Here are a few of the enhancements. Children are able to enjoy smaller adult-child ratios. With UPK funds, we are able to provide each classroom with 3 teachers and no more than 19 children at any time. The smaller group size allows for more individualized instruction and facilitates positive child-child interaction numbers of children. In addition to our regular many child care facilities, there is an additional cost. Every week, the children participate in 30-minute sessions of Spanish, American Sign Language, Stretch and Grow, which is a physical education program, and Dalcroze Eurythmics, which is a program that is designed to heighten concentration and focus, improve coordination and balance, enrich hearing, and sharpen the senses. We have also recently been able to add monthly sessions of yoga and working with clay. Parents are an important part of our program. Parents are encouraged to be involved in their child's education. Parents as Partners is our parent involvement organization, and as a UPK program, we are able to be part of the National Association for Partnership Schools. Members of Parents as Partners, administration, and teachers serve on the action plan team and develop and implement an annual action plan. This plan includes activities related to parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision-making, and collaborating with the community. Parents who engage in these activities with their children when they are in preschool are more likely to be involved with their children's education when they enter elementary school. With monies received through the UPK program, we are able to offer our staff salaries that are above the norm for early childhood education. We also have employer-paid life insurance and retirement benefits, just to name a few. Through our UPK grant, we have become an Ohio Healthy program, sponsored through the Ohio Department of Health. With UPK funding, we are able to provide the children with healthy foods that are cooked on-site from scratch. We use whole wheat pastas and whole grain breads, fresh or frozen vegetables, fresh fruits or fruits that are canned in their own juice, and all foods served at artificial preservatives, artificial sweet. Through the Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program, children, families, and staff are able to reap the benefits of high-quality early care and education. We thank you for continuing your support of this program. And this is one of my parents.
Yeah, hi, my name is Mike, and I just recently had an issue where I lost my job. I was working at the clinic, and my wife earns approximately half of what I was earning. So it's really a big help to be able to have, and I didn't even know that this was available. So when she told me that, I was very happy, and elated that we could get that reduction and it would help us out, because we did make a transition from another daycare that we didn't feel had the quality that EC does have for my two little people that attend. So there's a lot of these other great activities that Beth just mentioned that we feel really help my two kids when they, go on to kindergarten and so forth. So it is great to have, and I'm just, an honor to be at the daycare. Thank you.
And our last program, Gannon Gill.
Very special, my alma mater, graduate of Gannon Gill. So
there's a lot of those out there. Hi, my name is Lori Cote. I'm the Director of Early Child Education of Gannon Gill and the Temple Tifereth Israel. I would like to second everything that my colleagues in UPK have talked about, but I want to focus a little with in regards to Step Up to Quality. The relationship and the support with Starting Point. Am I not speaking loud enough? Okay, sorry. With Starting Point, our technical assistance support has really guided us and supported us in all the tools that we may need, looking at the social emotional screenings, the DECA and ASQ screenings, and helping give another perspective in the environment, working with my staff and achieving that ultimate goal of becoming a 5-star. I also feel as a professional, the support that we have from Starting Point and attending meetings has really helped me grow as a leader and as an educator in the field, which I'm very thankful for. Yes, I'm in the paper, which was a very exciting moment, but also for us to achieve that goal of being a 5-star system or 5 stars rated school has been an ultimate goal of ours. We have always done family programming, and the funds that we receive, educators, we do a lot of parents' night outs, moms' night outs. It really helps build that strong sense of community. And we say we're more than a school, we're a family. And we're a smaller school, we're 6 classrooms big. 2 years ago, we opened an infant room and a full day program. We more than doubled our enrollment and close to tripled our staff. And it all came at the same time that we came into the last UPK RFP round. So that support really helped us look at what we were not providing our families in our community, which was a full day program, and the families really needed that scholarship assistance, which the UPK program has provided for us. And I have a parent with me, Chess.
Hi, my name's Chessa, and I'm a parent at Gannon Gill. I have a 4-year-old son, and he's been there since he was about 18 months old, I think, around 2 years old. The type of education I was looking for him was a really particular kind of education, and I hunted around for a while, and finding Gannon Gill was really amazing, and it was a little cost prohibitive for me. I had become a single mom right at that moment that I was looking for a placement for him. My babysitter went back to school right at that time, and so things got a little complicated, and it was a little bit out of my price range, and without having the UPK scholarship, I really wouldn't have been able to afford it. I'm a social worker, and I work with kids, actually, and so this has been really amazing for me. The type of education is really important to me, so important that I actually started a Waldorf school in Cleveland Heights, and I hope to have my son go there. And however, Gannon Gill is such an amazing place with such great teachers who are fostering such a wonderful community there and helping him to thrive. I've watched my son just blossom into the most amazing kid over the past couple of years because of the staff there. And I know that without the work that they have put in, and what Lori has done to kind of transform that place, I know that wouldn't have happened. And so they've really kind of helped me transform my life and his life. And I don't think that we would be there at all without the scholarship. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations too on the rating. Okay.
So, wanted to pause and see if you had any questions. That really is the conclusion of our presentation.
Councilman Miller.
My question is, if we're only serving 10% of the people who could benefit from this program, and I'm sure it's partly a matter of who's most interested, but beyond that, how do we choose the 10% that get scholarships? I presume that you get many more requests than we could fund.
It's each program does its own recruitment for families, and part of the brochure, the recruitment will be that at this particular site you get scholarship assistance, and it's really just whoever comes to the site then and enrolls in the program gets assistance. We've been able to, up until this point, sort of maneuver funds. You never know exactly what. So one of the challenges of the program is, we have all of our processes that we have to go through if we shift dollars around, which can be sort of laborious. But what we've tried to do is, when a program has needed more funding, because the estimates are often one program needs more scholarship dollars, another program doesn't need as much, we do amendments, etc. So up until this point, within the programs that we're funding, we've really been able to handle the scholarship needs. So we haven't, quite honestly, done a huge countywide campaign out of our office, because at that point you would be flooded and you just would be saying no all the time. So each program recruits, and we've managed it that way.
Councilman Jones and Councilwoman Brown.
Can you repeat the numbers? Councilman said 10% served.
Right.
What is that in actual numbers again?
So this year we estimate 2,340 children, and our estimate out of the 70% of the total preschool population is about 24,000 kids as our aspirational number.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My question is with regards to children with special needs. Does the funding cover that, or is that up to the provider? How does that work?
No, excellent question. Required to accept children with special needs. And we actually have another program that is through Invest in Children called Special Needs Childcare. Really, UPK built on a bunch of programs that were in existence already under Invest in Children, of which Special Needs Childcare was one. So that program has technical assistance specialists that go into the program depending on the need of the child. So if it's a developmental disability or delay, it tends to be the achievement centers. If it's a medical issue, it would be the county board of health. Most, however, are behavioral issues. And there are, I think, 5 mental health agencies who have therapists who will go in, and people with special training. The provider, the teacher maintain the child in the setting. The goal is no expulsions. And we're pretty close to the goal. I don't know if anybody has anything to add on that. Cassandra, do you want to add something?
I've always had special needs, probably at least one in my since this is my 20th
Excuse me, I'm sorry, can you come to the podium?
This is my 20th year as being a family child care home, and I chose to do that because I really believe in family child care and children staying together, small children staying together in homes as long as they can. Like Peyton and Dawson, I have groups of children, at least 2, and within those groups, a lot of times there are special needs children. And so the Achievement Center's actually starting point has a section, and I have a special needs child as we speak, and that we work with. They come in and help us with them, and actually help the parent also, and so that the child is not isolated in what used to be where they would just be in a special needs group. And our children, they get along very well. They learn to love and just deal with each other as they are. So we do that, and I'm pretty sure the other groups do also.
Ray wanted to comment on this one. So we actually use PEP more frequently than any other agency, and the specialists will come out, and the way we talk to the parents is a very non-threatening way of, we are asking PEP to come out and assess our environment to see how they can help us help your child, and if they see that there's an area where there's a child that may need extra assistance, then we kind of go that route. But one thing I do want to comment in regards to the dollars, the quality dollars with UPK. In one of my classes this past school year, we had a set of twins they were just 4 and they were not toilet trained yet. And we used our dollars to have one of our part-time staff work as another a set of hands in the classroom, and with lots of support with working with the children. After several months, they are now pretty successfully toilet trained, but that was just another key point of how these dollars have helped us become more successful and to be able to support all children with all, developmental stages and needs.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Councilman John, right? Okay, so thank you so much. And sure. I see Councilman Miller.
On your chart, it had a total for 2014 of about 1,700 and some, and for 2015 it's 2,340. Mm-hmm. How are you increase? I don't know that kind of additional funding has been provided.
There was, we did receive under the past administration, actually $2 million additional dollars came into UPK. But when the last $1 million came, we were in the middle of the RFP cycle. So at that point, we actually used some of those extra dollars to support the Pre-for-CLE initiative instead. And now we're able to see the full impact of that extra $1 million moving through the RFP process. So that's part of the answer. And then it just depends, because it's not a certain amount per child, right? It varies depending who comes in. It's just, some of that might just be the mix of the new providers, for example. So, but I think mostly it's the impact, the full impact of the additional $1 million from 2 years ago. It's finally being realized.
And is the 2,340 a sustainable number based on the current level of funding?
Yes, we absolutely.
Okay.
Just one question, if I can. Sure. So this Pre-for-CLE money, is that going to be an ongoing subsidy to that, or are we going to shift dollars to our sites?
Yeah, good question. So what when Pre-for-CLE was launched, what the county committed to was a total of $1 million. So at this point, we've made good on $620,000 of it. So there's still sort of an IOU for $380,000, but after consultation with the executive, we decided we would put that, we didn't want to take that off the top of these dollars. That was my question. Do we take these off the top, or may we put that through the county budget process? So we will be bringing that request through the regular county budget process. So that would be additional dollars, and it wouldn't reduce our UPK funding.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for coming and being patient. We really appreciate the feedback, on the ground feedback, and the difference these dollars make. So before we move on, Director Dorman, I know we need to amend this to remove number 12, but the effective date of the contract is August 1st. Is that something we need to move and suspend to be on target with that?
We would like to get them approved as soon as possible, yes. Thanks.
President Brady. Okay, so first I'm going to move that we amend the resolution 0144 to delete number 12, which is that East Cleveland site, the Prospect Elementary School. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So we deleted number 12, and then I will move that this item be put on the next agenda and under suspension with a recommendation of passage.
Great.
Wait,
And just to note,
So, hey, we need a
you
second.
need to vote? Okay.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that's moved and seconded, and it will be on our agenda under suspension. Go ahead.
No, so what we're going to have to do, the good news is, even though they closed Prospect, they moved all the preschool classrooms to Superior. So our guidance was to just put the Superior contract through as is. Then we will amend it with the dollars that we're saving from the Prospect, and it will so we'll be amending that one because we're already down the pike. So, okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And so, Madam Clerk, you still here? Okay. Let's see. I have no miscellaneous business, except I want to follow up with the pilot program for the foster kids down the road, but miscellaneous, and talk about educational shifting of our dollars through our assistance program. But that's it. Other public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one
Okay,
is signed
so
in.
meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody.